Well, here's the patch notes for patch 14. These are provisional patch notes, so they are subject to change. However, does mean that the patch is pretty close and it's going to come with some good balancing, which is great. As it says here, just to make you aware, these notes and changes are not final and may still be changed before the release. Okay? But these are the current patch notes. There are things they're looking at, so we're going to go over them real quick. And just so you guys know too, this channel's not just Darktide, but it is also RimWorld, which is our main focus of the channel, with storytelling and RimWorld and the fun that's at. Go watch some RimWorld 40k and have some fun. Alright, let's cover the patch notes, you filthy, dedicated rejects. All operative modifiers. Suppression boost increase suppression from 5% to 25%. That is going to be a huge benefit to all classes. Most definitely is going to be gunluggers, ogrins, you know we love you. We vet mains, we might get frustrated that you stand in our way all the time, but we do love you for the sheer fact that you can lay down hell amounts of suppressing fire. This is a good boon all around everybody. Psyker, Blitz, set wield quell chain time to 0 on all Psyker blitzes, meaning it will be more fluid. Start quelling after switching your blitz. That I don't really think has ever been a problem. I've never felt like there's an issue, but play around with it and we'll see. Brain Rupture, a much needed buff. So, reduce peril cost of charging right click from 30% to 20%. That's great. So you can now start pre-charging when you know a horde is coming. You know the noises for a horde. It's either big drums or a little kind of scream, and then it gets really tense for a minute. Reduce movement penalties from charging. That's fantastic. Increase power from 850 to 900. That is a nice 50 points of increase. I'm very interested to see how it's going to work, because right here is the next biggest thing. Increase unyielding armor damage modifier from 1 to 1.25, maniac armor damage modifier 1 to 1.5, and carapace armor damage modifier from 0.75 to 0.1. It always should have been 0.1 because it's just straight brain attack. There's no reason armor would mitigate it. But hey, I'm excited to see how Brain Burst feels, and this might be the direction that finally makes it feel like it's meant to feel. Here's the big one that so many people complained about. ASSAIL. Shifting power to reduce spamminess of primary attack, but increasing the usability of the second aimed attack. Reducing power of primary action from 250 to 200. I actually think that that is a good trade. It's only 50 points of power. It will be noticeable, but you'll probably still see more spamminess, so I'm not sure if it's really going to fix the spamminess, but I'm okay with a 50 point, I would say, tune down. It's not really a nerf, it's a tune down. So 50 point tune down of the damage, I'd say, is really good, and it would put us in a very nice position for ASSAIL users to kind of not rely on ASSAIL as much, especially new ASSAIL users who just spam the crap out of it. However, increasing the power of the secondary aimed action from 250 to 340 or 400 if talent empowered psionics is active. The 90 point increase might be too much, but it was dealing the same damage as the primary action. What I would like to see them do, if they're going to increase that damage, is also have the aimed shard only hit one target at a time. Maybe it pierces two, but I think if we're increasing it that high, it should only pierce one target. It should only hit one target, or pierce one target. I think that's probably the best way that they could go about balancing it and making it look real smooth. Fix an issue where ASSAIL projectiles would lose targeting when forced swords are wielded. I think that's actually an appropriate issue, though. If you're not using your blitz and you're swapping over to a force sword, the blitz shouldn't really be working anymore. So, I mean, that's the same with Smite, it's the same with Brain Burst. If you're not using it, it doesn't work. So it should lose targeting the moment you swap over. I think that's a bug that they should have made a feature. I think that's a bug that should be a feature. Fix an issue that could cause the animation for ASSAIL to be stuck if you were attacked while aiming a shard. That's just funny. Alright, at least that's fixed. Fix an issue where ASSAIL would play critical strike sounds globally and in 3D. Cool. All right. Smite. This is the big one that we've talked about as kind of being a little busted and broken. So fix an issue where the ability didn't show hit indicators when damaging enemies. Fix an issue where incorrect VFX cloud keeps triggering during the secondary attack. Okay. Dev note. This is the big one. Smite being able to channel without cost when Empowered Psionics was active was a bug. I think we all understood that that was a bug. We do, however, feel that without it, Smite can feel a bit lackluster in combination with Empowered Psionics, so we're further increasing the power of it. We'll be keeping an eye on it and are up for doing something related to cost in the future, as long as it's more balanced this time around. Increased bonuses from talent Empowered Psionics, 125% damage, faster spread between enemies, and fix an issue where talent Empowered Psionics incorrectly made Smite not cost any peril. I think that's a good change. I don't think you should be just free flow casting Smite, and I think this is going to make everybody feel a lot better about Smite and about the gameplay of Smite being a little bit more engaging, because I can tell you I would definitely feel like this is a much better change for it to be engaging, and especially when your team abandons you when you have Smite going and doesn't focus on the zappy boys. Psychonetics Wrath added 10% Quell to Psychonetics Wrath ability, meaning that Psychers who don't have the upgraded Psychonetics Wrath can still use the ability to avoid downing themselves. Combat ability, Scryer's Gaze. Fix an issue where the sound effects were not turned on and off properly when activating Scryer's Gaze. That's great. Dome Boys. Looks like you're getting an all-around genuine buff. Combat ability, Telekinene Shield and Telekinene Dome. Increase speed of the shield and dome placement action, increase maximum duration of shield from 15 to 17, and increase the maximum duration of the dome from 15 to 22.5 seconds. Increase the health of the shield and dome from 15 to 20. Increase the minimum duration of shield and dome from 4 seconds to 6.5. Cool. Fix an issue where not being able to place the shield on certain flat areas. Fix an issue where Warp Siphon talent granted instant cooldown of shield and dome abilities. Okay, good, so we won't be seeing the instant dome. That was something I ran into in a match in Damnation. We had a Psyker who was we were on probably the worst map in the game was the goddamn Nurgle tree, and they were just casting dome after dome after dome, and it got really distracting and hard to see. So that'll be a good change. Fix an issue where enemy hits on the shield and dome abilities could be seen through enemies. Fix an issue where impacts on the shield and dome were not vanishing. Fix an issue causing sound effects not triggered correctly when entering and exiting the dome. Cool. Soul Stealer, reduced toughness replenished from 15 to 7.5. I don't think any talent that replenishes toughness should be reduced in any way by 50%. That's my opinion. I think that's on all classes. Psyker especially, since Psychers, we all know the truth. You're just a glass cannon, and I've seen more Psychers get downed lately than usual. I'm not really sure about Soul Stealer. I think maybe a 5% reduction would have been fine on that ability, but I'm not sure about a full 50% whack. Talent, Perilous Combustion. Reduce the number of Soul Blaze stacks applied. Oh, from 4 to 3? I don't know. I like seeing everything light on fire. I think that I get it, but still kind of bums me out. I like setting things on fire as a Psyker. It's fun. We all have our dreams. That's actually probably what I would have preferred instead of ASSAIL, actually, was like a Melta Beam. They give you a Melta Beam in Martyr, in Inquisition Martyr. They give you a Fire Beam. I would have preferred that over ASSAIL. I think that would have been pretty cool to see as a Psyker. Talent Prescience, increase critical hit chance from bonus to 5% from 4. Or a talent kinetic present reduced damage bonus from 10% to 5. So you get an increase, you get a 5% crit and you get a 5% damage. Zealot! Hello, Zealots. Zealots, by the way, I just want to throw this out there. Later in this patch notes, you're going to get a nerf that's going to bork you pretty hard. Some of you may say it's not, but it really is, because it's not just a Zealot nerf that screws them over, it screws the entire team over. But we'll get to it. Blades of Faith. Tweak knife throw to make it more consistent, easier to hit priority targets. Beautiful. Small cleave ability. Cleave through one small enemy. That's fantastic. I like the idea of going through a couple poxwalkers with a knife. Gives you a little Daryl Dixon vibe. Reduce radius. Okay, that's great. 0.37 to 2. Accidentally hitting smaller targets. Something you can avoid. Fix Blades of Faith so it doesn't inherently inherit spread modifiers from wielding ranged weapons. They should go straight now. Oh, I didn't know that was an issue. Increase power from 500 to 585 to help reaching some weak point break points. Okay, solid. Increase flak armor damage modifier from 0.7 to 0.75 to 0.8. Perfect. And fixed a minor animation issue. I did notice that I was using them once, and I didn't notice there was even a knife in my Zealot's hand. I watched it back on the replay. There wasn't even a knife in it. Shroud Field. Talent Perfectionist. Reduce backstab damage. Oh, that's dumb. But change the cooldown increase from 100 to 50%. Okay. Alright, so the cooldown punishment is lower. This was made to avoid single hits doing too much damage. But you know what, though? I was okay with Zealots going stealth, and then dropping the Might of the Emperor with a huge 100% bonus from Shroud Field. I love that. That was fun. We'll see how this balances. Change Finesse damage bonus from being multiplicative to additive. Okay. Demon hosts will now be able to see Zealots using Shroud Field to avoid cases where players can aggro a demon host and make it attack the players. Oh, you trolls come up with whole new ways to screw people over, and it's funny. It's funny. I hate it, but it's funny. I'm gonna give you guys props for coming up with a new way to troll people. Combat ability, Chorus of Spiritual Fortitude. Added the functionality to cancel the ability with the secondary action input. That's good. Change action chaining so that you're not allowed to cancel out of the ability during wielding animation. This is to avoid accidental canceling of the ability before it started. That's good. Change so that monstrosities are only staggered by the first and last pulse of the ability. That's a good balance. That's a very good balance. You get 5 pulses to stack up your allies' toughness meter. First one staggering, last one staggering. That could really make a difference in a fight instead of having the whole monstrosity fight be trivialized. We killed 2 back-to-back monstrosities. It was a Chaos Spawn and a Beast of Nurgle. And our Zealot popped the chorus, and we took both of them out within the full pop of their ability. It was kind of busted. So definitely having them not be staggered, I think, is going to be the right change. So happy to see that. Inexorable Judgment now only activates on melee and range hits. Okay. Second Wind added 5-second internal cooldown, or 0.5 second internal cooldown, increased toughness replenishment from 10% to 15%. That's a fair trade. Shield of Contempt reduced damage reduction from 75% to 60%. That's fair. I think that puts it in line with some of the other damage reduction abilities out there. And Bleed for the reduced damage reduction from 50% to 40%. I don't know about that one. These slight changes to damage reduction talents are to avoid high stacking damage reduction. But that should be the point, though, for the Zealot. I feel like they're missing the note on their own class, is that you have a melee focused character that should have better damage reduction on toughness. So I don't know. Fixed talent Martyr's Purpose having the wrong icon. Fix issue where Beacon of Purity aura could leave players with remaining corruption damage. And fixed issues where the talent Sainted Gunslinger didn't activate when reloading combat shotguns or stub revolvers. This one hurts. This one hurts. So there's been a lot of complaints, justly, on Reddit about the veteran not having keystones. So, as it turns out, the veteran class wasn't finished. Way to go, Fatshark. Thank you. I appreciate it. As a veteran main, I love that my class wasn't finished. We're currently working on an update to the veteran's talent tree, including keystones, which will be coming in a future patch. It hurts to read. We hope that these changes to your abilities will still be interesting enough to open up for a few more build paths while we finalize the larger update. Reduce stamina regen delay from 1.25 to 1, meaning vets will start stamina regeneration quicker than before. This will make Deadshot a lot more powerful. However, there is a balance to Deadshot in here somewhere. Smoke Grenade added small stagger to smoke grenades. I know there were people talking on Reddit about having smoke grenades do something extra. I think a small stagger on the explosion's fine, but I think Fatshark could go in the route of making all grenades have sub-trees as well, to where you put one boon into other points. Duration increase from 10-second base to 15-second without Grenade Tinkerer talent to 15-second base, 30 seconds with Grenade Tinkerer talent. So that's a long smoke, and that's a pretty dense smoke. I think they do. There was someone who mentioned somewhere that smoke grenade should highlight enemies caught inside the smoke grenade, kind of like with the veterans or volley fire ability. I think that would be good. I think just highlighting them, not adding any damage, but at least highlighting them so you know what's inside, I think would be a a positive change to that as well. Crack grenade, change behavior of the talent twin blast. One grenade will now land where aimed. The duplication grenades will land in a random position nearby left or right of the aim position. Okay. That's better. That's a good change. You'll always hit with the crack. Combat ability, volley fire and executioner stance. Allow cooldown to tick during volley fire and executioner stance, but increase cooldown from 25 seconds to 35 seconds, meaning achieving higher uptime of volley fire will reward you more. That's fair. I think that's good. That puts it in line with a lot of the other combat abilities. Recharge time. Plus, we have that ability where every elite or every specialist kill, we get a 6-second time reduction on that. So, that's not bad at all. Talent counterfire added scab stalkers as volley fire targets. That's good. They should have always been. And fix an issue where volley fire adept executioner stance didn't activate when reloading combat shotguns or revolvers. Veterans with infiltrate. We're also trolling other players with demon hosts, so that's gonna be fixed. Cooldown reduced to 45 seconds. Infiltrate duration from 6 seconds to 8 seconds. Interesting. So cooldown goes low, time goes up. That's not a bad change for the combat for infiltrate. More time in shroud, less time recharge. That's better. My personal favorite ability, voice of command. I've grown to love this ability very much over volley fire. Reduce cooldown 45 seconds to 30 seconds. That's perfect. I love that. Added stronger stagger. Voice of command will now be able to stagger monstrosities and mutants. This will be great for those monstrosity fights. Don't really care about the mutants, but this will make voice of command even better in those fights where you guys are suddenly surrounded by a horde and you need a bit more breathing room. Increase cooldown from 33 to 50%, with only in death does duty end. With the reduced cooldown of voice of command, this adds up to the same 15 seconds, so it's no longer a minute, it's just going to be 45 seconds. Again, this is where taking that talent of reduction every kill on a specialist is key, especially if you're going to be using this ability. It's gonna make you able to cast this even faster. Talent, duty, and honor increase toughness gain from 50 to 100 and duration from 10 to 15 seconds. Fixed an issue where the ability didn't play sound effects. Talent, dead shot, move from percentage of max stamina to flat stamina at 0.75 stamina per second, 0.25 per shot. So stack stamina or stack stamina regen. Exploit weakness increase from 2.5% brittleness to 10% brittleness and set max stacks to 2. The description currently reads rending, but it should say brittleness. That is actually a really good change. Brittleness does a huge boon to you and the team being able to lay out more damage. So being at 10% instead of 2.5 and having it be a max of 2 stacks, I think is great. I think that's a solid change. Rending strikes reduced from 15% to 10% rending on all weapons. That's fair. With class overhaul, we changed how rending was calculated, resulting in it being more effective than before. Resulted in rending strikes being stronger than we anticipated. I will say, not having rending strikes on veteran did feel like you were losing a good bit of power. I do like it. The 5% is really good. Still, a 10% rending increase is still a phenomenal increase to your damage. It's not crippling. Keep their heads down. Increase range attack suppression from 25% to 50%. That's solid. Demolition team corrected the description to state that only the veteran receives a grenade. The gameplay change was already in, but the description did not get updated properly. You know, I still think demo team, because I think because veterans are able to get grenades every 60 seconds, I think demo team should go out to the entire team. That's just me. I think it should go out to the entire team because there's 2 other classes that use it, and I understand that if it does, a 1% chance will proc maybe 2 to 3 times a match, and your Ogren buddy is gonna get another big friendly bomb. I don't care what you call it. It's a big friendly bomb. That will definitely get used a lot more, and I think it should. Ogren, guys. Ogrens, you're perfect. You're perfect the way you are. And you know how we all know that to be the case? You're getting more buffs than you are nerfs. Big Friendly Rock. Reduced replenish cooldown from 60 seconds to 45 seconds. Increase maniac damage. Increase impact versus monstrosities. Stones thrown to the head of monstrosities will now stagger them. The only one you're going to have trouble finding the head of, lads, is going to be the Chaos Spawn. So Once you find it, remember it, and it will now stagger them, so that's even better. Lowered chaining time from wielding to the aim throw. This will reduce the time until the player can throw the stone, allowing for more reactive gameplay. Solid change. Big friendly bomb. Armor modifiers close damage near and far. Unyielding 200 to 200 is where it was, to 325 to 200. That's a pretty big change. Armor modifiers near and far. Carapace 75 to 37.5 to 100% to 37.5. Unyielding 187.5. Why? To 100 to 262.5 and 112.5. Such weird modifiers. Alright, so Ogryn players, Big Friendly Bomb is still going to be a toss at your feet in the middle of the horde, and you are probably going to see it one tap Crushers on Damnation now, I think. I think that's how that's going to work. Maybe, maybe not. We'll test it when it comes out. Combat ability, Loyal Protector, fix an issue where Demon Host was behaving weirdly after Ogryn Loyal Protector activation. Fix an issue where the ability didn't play sound effects for other players. Point Blank Barrage, fix an issue where the ability would not trigger talent, reload, and ready. Talent light them up, reduced stacks of burn from 3 to 2. Feels like they're trying to mitigate the amount of dots you can get out in this build. Not sure how I feel about that. I think the dots don't do a lot of damage. I think the stack should stay where they were, but that's just me. Batter, reducing the number of bleed stacks applied from heavy attacks from 6 to 4. Again, they're reducing the dot output. I don't know if they feel like dots were being the key killer of a lot of enemies, but I think they were a key way for your team to focus on other enemies while bleeds and burns were out. So we'll see how that balances. They may increase it. I think instead of 2, really, some of these ones where they're dropping 2 points should be dropped by 1 point instead of 2, but that's just me. Pained Outburst fixed an issue where the talent would return 100% of toughness instead of 25% and would replenish toughness if knocked down. Okay. Hey, it's a bug. It's a bug, Ogryns. And to be honest, that's okay. Enemies. All enemies are getting buffs, while all of our dot effects are getting nerfs. Alright, tweaked enemy base health on all difficulties with a focus on bigger elites to make them stay alive a bit longer for the conflict director to not spawn as many. This will balance out ASSAIL psychers spamming ASSAIL and always having empowered psionics. This will also kind of balance out combat a bit more to where you're not getting mauled by a horde of, I think my most was 12 Ragers in one go. That was fun. So let's see. Mutant health is a base 100 increase. Same as before class overhaul patch. That's fine. Bulwark from 1500 to 1800. Crusher from 15 to 18. Dragon Scab Ragers from 800 to 1200. Scab Mauler base health 1200 1500. Added new backstab sound for elites. Okay, so this we'll have to pay attention, figure out what that sound is for when they come up behind you. Most of the times I think it was a sharp pinging sound. Increased heavy stagger thresholds for crushers and maulers and reapers. Okay. Lowered push force applied by scab and dreg gunners by 70%. Okay, that will allow you to get in a position a bit better. Tweak scab stalker combat ranges, increase distance from when they switch to melee to range. Scab shooter can now trigger on successful dodge procs. Fix scab bomber will only drop his grenade once the pin is pulled. And that's the sound effect where it's like a bell jingle. Spawning. Fix an issue that caused more flamers to be able to be spawned at the same time than intended. That's good. Here's the zealot nerf that I was talking about. You ready? Added more aggressive speedrunning prevention spawning. Fixed an issue where the monster's specials cooldown would fail to set weakened state. So just to be clear, speedrunners, zealots with zoomies, anyone else who specs into zoomies, this really hits the zealots more because you've got builds that are based all around zooming, is that they will aggressively spawn more enemies. Alright, so stop speed running, stick with your team. There's a little icon in the bottom left corner that goes from 1 to 3 all the time. That's your coherency. I know zealots, you constantly see a 2 no matter who's around you, whether anyone is or not. I know you always see a 2, but that's a false positive. Stay with the group. Jesus Christ. Mutants, improved dodging when mutant charges players around corners, added extra wall collision raycast. So that's good. You can now dodge window better on mutants. Lowered Plague Ogre and Stomp radius. That's good. I was wondering why that was a little oversized on some on some stomps. Beast of Nurgle. Tweak Beast of Nurgle slime slow from 50 to 20%. Fix crash that could occur if 2 Beasts of Nurgles tried to consume the same enemy. That should be an instant kill. If 2 Beasts of Nurgles are trying to consume you, you should just die. They tear you in half. Insta-kill. The rest of this is general weapon changes along with pages 2 and 3. Bleed damage from 200 to 175 across all weapons that can deal bleed. Okay, this was 40 before patch 13 overhaul. Increase sprint acceleration for range assault sprint weapons, fix recoil so it doesn't increase while crouched for some weapons, and rending no longer increases stagger strength. Dueling swords are getting a general buff across all dueling swords, which is great. I love seeing a psyker with a dueling sword. It is such a fun way to play a psyker as this classic fencer. It's fun. And the dueling swords look sleek as hell. Heavy swords getting the same damage profile as first and second hit. Chain axe is getting better maniac armor damage. The kickback for Ogrins, faster auto reload after shooting. Hip zoomed, increased power. Bit tighter spread with ADS. Minimum pellet heavy count. Blah, 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 blah. Grenadier gauntlet tweaked values on melee attacks, making it more viable. I've always loved meleeing with the Grenadier gauntlet. It's just a good general sweep. It's a multi-purpose tool. The Grenadier Gauntlet is a multi-purpose tool. Best one. Fixed an issue where heavy melee attacks did not allow for talents such as Batter to proc as intended. Ooh. Nice. Ripper guns reduced base reload speed from 30 to 20. Nice. Slightly reduced ammo reserve. You already reduced the ammo reserve. Don't do it again. That's dumb. Force swords finally getting a bit of a balance here. Force swords with smart targeting allow force sword to push follow up being overtly prioritized. Increased the lights and heavy attacks with a bit of increased cleave and finesse. Now this is balanced by the complete elimination of infinite dodges to 5, same as the combat knife. Their reasoning is we believe the infinite dodges aren't healthy for the balance of the game and decided to give force swords the same dodge count as the combat blade, one of the best dodging weapons, that's true. This change was made together with an overall bump of the force sword damage and cleave output to compensate for the dodge loss on other weapons power increase. I think that's solid altogether. Infantry las, you're getting a sprint ready up time and a hip fire recoil spread reduction, as well as increased power. So, boys, time to do the guard proud and pull your las rifle back into your hands. It should have never left. I'm ashamed that you dropped your las rifle for something like a bolt gun or an auto gun. Where's the pride, man? Where's the pride? Have your las weapon in your hands at all times. Las pistol, increased power, reduced sprint ready up time, slightly increased fire rate, tweak recoil spread, stability far less severe, focus stability on even when mobile. Tweak the input buffer to reduce the feeling of lost inputs. That's good. There were times I did feel like some things weren't triggering right. Thunder hammers. Those of you zealots who like to use the thought hammer. Added one more dodge. Switch to Crucius Mark II's Thunder Hammer push. Follow up to be a light sweep. Switch Iron Helm activation strike down heavy sweeping profile to heavy single target profile, meaning it will be more effective against single targets. Switch Iron Helm chain from push follow to heavy 3 for easier access. The Crusher, the baseball bat with legs. The Crusher has been changed to be more of a fast, crowd-controlling, headshotting focused weapon. Added one more dodge. Tuned light and heavy's damage profile to be more efficient, with focus on headshotting. Increased heavy hitbox length from 1.15 to 1.4. That's huge. Tuned up attack speed, which is great. Switch push follow up to light sweeping with higher finesse. Reduced light and heavy activated explosion radius. Larger decrease on light attack. Tac Axe's Aatrox Mark II, tuned up single target damage for Light 1 and Light 3. Ogren Club, increased speed of the heavy attacks on Brunt Basher Mark III B Bully Club. Slap. They tuned up the Pimp Slap. I didn't know you could tune up a Pimp Slap. Tuned down the impact to avoid juggling enemies in the air. Come on! Seeing an Ogren juggle somebody with Pimp Slaps in the air is not only fun and entertaining, but it's also intimidating to all enemies. I would stop fighting if I saw an Ogren just pimp slapping my buddy in the air. Fixed so slapping weak spots can stagger strong elites such as Crushers and combat. Fantastic. Combat swords. Added chain to heavy attack from push follow-up to slightly increase the chain time. Devil's Claw, they did a bad separation of this. Devil's Claw Mark 7, push follow-up, switch to single target damage profile following attack chain sweeping profile, meaning the first attack will be more useful versus one target, and the following attack more useful with multiple targets. Combat Axes, Accolades, added chain from heavy attack 1 to push follow-up, slightly reduce the chain time. Headhunter Autogun. Bash weapon special, tweaked hitboxes to make it easier to hit, increase speed of normal heavy bash, added chain window from hip fire, so shooting won't lock you up from firing as much. Vracus Mark 3, tweaked recoil behavior. Vracus Mark 7, tweaked recoil behavior, increased damage per shot, decreased fire rate. Agrippina, changed burst time from 0.175 to 0.1. No recoil on the Agrippina. I do love the Agrippina, but its recoil is pretty rough. Still my favorite though. Brace autoguns. All brace autoguns replace push on weapon special to sweep, add stagger reduction on bash hit, higher on weak spot hit, tweaked hitboxes to be easier to hit, and increased speed of normal and heavy bash. Bolt gun. Now bolt gun got a nerf a while back. It is nice to see the bolt gun get a buff back up. So their bash has also been changed over to a sweep, added a stagger reduction on bash hit, tweaked hitboxes to be a bit easier to hit, increased speed of normal heavy bash, and its power has increased. So we're likely to see a good boost to bolt gun damage. Pages 1 and 2 have the actual numbers for all the weapons that are getting boosted. So looking through there as I did, the bolt gun is getting a nice power boost. Infantry autoguns. All infantry autoguns change crit effect to be less flashy bangy, should be less blinding to get a lot of crits. All infantry autoguns, ammo clip and reserve increase. Agrippina Mark 1 infantry, recoil tweak, fix faulty crouch settings, reduce recoil on the first 3 shots, meaning burst it when you can. Increase recoil when moving around to more around X2 of stationary. That's pretty rough. Columnist Mark 5 is one of my favorite infantry autoguns. Tweaked recoil, reduce horizontal by a lot, fix faulty crouch settings, increase sprint speed, increase dodge, change damage profile to be more effective at close range, far range fall off, set same fall off range as other infantry. Perfect, just balance it out. Slightly reduced vertical recoil, good. Graya, tweaked recoil, faulty, increase. Perfect. Force staves. Tweaked fire times from force staves with projectile primary attack. Okay. Fire time is now 0.1 seconds, up from 0.025, and the animations and time scales have been tweaked for a much better fire time. Yeah, because you could spam yourself to a peril explosion without issue before. So having a bit slower, I think, will balance that out, especially because they hit like trucks. Slightly better attack bash, slightly faster, change damage profile to be similar with other bashes, high stagger, weak spot hit, heavy, more cleave and sweep, increase hitbox range, tweak chain timings, fix the impact. Nice. Ogren cleavers fixed, so uppercut special can stagger heavy targets such as crushers. Hasn't it always? Maybe they changed it with patch 13. I haven't played my Ogren much. Aurochs Mark 2 Battle Maul and Mark 3 Slab Shield. Increase push radius from 3.25 to 4. Nice. Tuned chain timings. Perfect. Standard issue Minotaurium Sapper Shovel. Tuned chain timings. Increased damage of lights and heavies. Ever since they launched Krieg, you knew there was going to be a buff to shovels, right? Like, Krieg comes out and you're still going to have shovels be the most underused melee weapon. Yeah. This is a good buff, and a buff that says we want our money. Katachan Mark 3 Combat Blade, tweaked light and heavies, tune chain windows. Added innate 25% backstab damage bonus to heavies. Nice. Power swords, this is a nice boost. Just so you guys know too, the power swords are getting a general buff in their damage as well. Not to where they were back when they were busted in the most overused weapon, but they are getting a nice buff to make them more viable again. Minotaurium Power Sword, that's the new one. Block cost reduction by 25%. Activation can be cancelled to block in 0.3 seconds in keeping the activation. This change was made to make the Minotaur Mark 6 more focused on defensive chaining by allowing the block chain to be activated. The activation animation also matches the block animation, so the transition from block to activation is smoother. Activated power buffed significantly. Heavies with a focus on horde clear, lights for DPS on smaller counts, push attack weak spot hits for carapace, and unyielding damage. Solid buff. Void Strike. Chain timing from start next projectile set to quell chain time. Oof. Slightly reduce the previous 70% buff applied to secondary fire to tune down extreme damage on high health targets. There you go. All you people who were bitch pissing and moaning about void strikes, there you go. Notice they don't give you the number. So my guess is it's probably going to be 50% or below, or a complete removal, but they don't give you the number on this. My guess is when the patch notes come out for 14 in final version, you will see the actual numbers for this. Added gibbing to surge staffs for those of you who like to lightning things to death. Rumbler, reduce sway to make aiming trajectory more reliable. Added crosshair during reload. Human shotguns, upped ammo pools, increased armor damage modifiers versus unarmored, infested, maniac, and unyielding. Plasma gun boys, those of you who like to play hot potato. M35 magnet core, increased power, increased cleave, increased finesse. Always good to see. Grenades, changed aiming of grenades to update aiming trajectory to the point of throwing the projectile. I'm sure that's a general buff. I've never had an issue with the grenades though. There are blessings changes as well. These go on for quite a while. Fire Frenzy and changed attack speed to close damage. I think that's fair. Stripped down has been fully reworked to solely ranged attack immunity blessing, thus sprint speed has been removed. We want to keep movement speed bonuses to the talent tree layer instead. I think that's solid. Speed load changed from triggering on melee to close kill. Added stacking bonus up to 5 stacks. Reload speed 14% to 7, 16 to 8. They pretty much have the reload speeds on everything. And the duration of the buff for infantry autoguns 2.5, braced autoguns 2.5, auto pistol 2, recon las 3, las pistol 3, revolver 4 seconds. I think the revolver's reload needs a bit of a rework, and I think we do need a new version of the revolver that comes with a speed loader and maybe deals less damage and has a higher ammo pool. I think that would be fun. Limb splitter cooldown 5 seconds, 5 seconds 4.5, 5 seconds to 4, 5 seconds to 3.5. Okay. Ruthless backstab, rending bonus. At least they staggered it. Ruthless backstab 35 to 90, 40 to 100, 45 to 110, 50 to 120. Those of you who love stabbing things in the back, that is beautiful. In Furnace, this is a weird change because it's only being changed on the Recon Las gun is 8 to 10 and 10 to 12 for Infernus burning stacks maximum. Can opener brittleness goes up generally all around, and then there's bug fixes and UI. All in all, I would say with this patch, we are in a very good position to see the game improving, to seeing things balanced out. I know a lot of you will probably say that ASSAIL is not nerfed enough, or it's getting a huge buff. Not a nerf. Honestly, I like where ASSAIL's going. I think the aimed attack should be a single target hit, or if you spec into the talent for it, you get a single pierce with it. So one target, then it hits the other and lodges. I think that's a solid change. They will probably nerf damage another 25 points to 175 on the primary action. That would give it a full 75 points of power reduction if they do it. I don't think it needs another power reduction. We'll see how it flies in launch. If anything, I think the time to throw the next shard should increase by 1 second to 2 seconds. So it's not just one shard throws out. It should have to finish its animation before the next shard goes out. I think that would reduce spamminess more than reduce primary action, than another reduction in damage, right? That's fair. The dome, I like the changes to the dome. Zealot, I like the changes to the knife zealot. It gives me more of an excitement to do some knife zealot builds again. Shroud field, I'm not really sure how I feel about the shroud field yet. I do love this 100%, but I mean, you have to position yourself before you use it, right? But with the cooldown decrease, I think that's fine. Chorus, I like the chorus changes. I like that we're gonna get a finished veteran at some point in the future, where we'll actually get some keystones. I understand that when this first came out, I praised Fatshark, but like, I really want this to be settled out and done the right way. So let's make sure we get a solid veteran tree, so it just looks smoother and better. Smoke grenades, I like what they're doing with smoke grenades. Crack, they really didn't change crack at all, because all my homies use crack. And notice they did nothing to shredder grenades, so that's interesting. I wonder if it's because shredder is underutilized, or maybe it's utilized more than the others, but it feels fine. Tell me what you guys think about your shredder use in games. Volley fire is looking good. I like what they're doing for these changes. Counterfire finally getting a win. And again, if you're looking to use volley fire more, there's talents for that. So that's perfectly fine. Infiltrate. I like the reduction in cooldown to infiltrate and the infiltrate duration time. Voice of command. I love the changes to voice of command. I think that's solid, and I think in death, only in death does duty end. I think this is a much better change. I will be using only in death on all my voice of commands now, just because. Hopefully my team doesn't go down when I use it, or after I use it. I have noticed that the pickup doesn't work if someone's already picking somebody up. I'm sure this would mess with their coding if they did it, but there is a part of me that feels like if I use only in death, even if someone's picking somebody up, I think it should overwrite their pickup and immediately use only in death. That's just me. It's probably balancing, probably code, so there's probably plenty of reasons for it. Ogrins, as I said, lads, you guys are perfect. You're wholesome. The only thing you do wrong is get in my firing line, but I just step to the side. Sometimes you step to the side, you hear my little unfeet move, and you're like, oh man, I gotta block that side now. All in all, I like the bonuses coming to Big Friendly Rock and Big Friendly Bomb as well. And the enemy changes aren't too bad. This will make combat encounters a little more tense, but I'm okay with it. Because with the build I'm running right now is revolver build, and I'm mulching maulers in 2 shots. I'm sure I will still do that, but we'll see what happens. The way I built it absolutely just flies through maulers, so we'll see how that happens. I love this one right here. This is my favorite. Is more aggressive speedrunning prevention spawning. I know there's times we want to get through missions faster, but I think this is going to be the best thing to prevent solo runners from going from one end to the next. Because I know everyone bitch, pissed, and moaned about ASSAIL making the games unfun, but it's equally as unfun for everyone when one player runs ahead of everybody, kills everything, aggroes a horde, and leaves your whole team just sprinting to catch up, not being able to do anything. The fun goes both ways, and I understand that it's human nature sometimes to not care about other people's fun and only focus on your own. You want that dopamine hit and you don't care who gets hurt along the way, but it's a team-based game. You have to share that dopamine hit with everybody because it feels good. I love dropping a big friendly bomb and seeing everything that I kill go up on the board, just as much as Psychers love seeing ASSAIL, just as much as on Veteran I love cracking the headshots and watching just deaths pile up on the board, just as much as I love a Zealot. You start a horde fight and all of a sudden you've slipped behind and you one-shot a Crusher, a Mauler, or a Bulwark or a Reaper, and it feels good. And then you do what a buddy of mine says and you drop a Catachan handshake, and you either drop a Shredder grenade or you drop your Immolation grenade and just walk through the fire in the Valley of Death. Stick together with your team. Biggest tips. All right. I like the changes. I think the changes are going in a right direction, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the final patch notes are looking like. These are the provisional patch notes. Keep that in mind. These are subject to change. So enjoy them. Think about the changes that are coming, and let me know down in the comments what you think is a good change and what isn't. Shout out to the patrons. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. You too can support on Patreon by heading down in the description below, or you can become a channel member. You can also support for free by hitting like, subscribe, hitting the bell notification, and commenting. For more news on Darktide, builds, we're here until Darktide bores the crap out of me again. Otherwise, you can always find this channel producing RimWorld content of RimWorld 40k to get your RimWorld narrative and 40k narrative going on. Right now, we're telling a story about a nobleman and a gene stealer, and everything has just gone kind of crazy. So we'll see what happens in episode 2, coming out Friday. Have a good one, lads. Peace.